Is now the time to bank on fine wine? Today on The Investment Advisor, I thought we'd look at fine wines, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, as an asset class and as a possible investment, something you can own in your portfolio, and if you don't mind drinking some of the dividends, to enjoy it with a meal or on an occasion. With us to work our way through the fine wine market is one of the world's great experts in investing in wine. Welcome to the program, Paul.
Thank you for having me, Matthew.
Paul Hammond is the founding partner of IGwines, investment grade wines. And what do? They're in London, and they treat wine, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, as an investment.
Exactly.
You don't mind enjoying a bottle of wine yourself, I'm sure, but what you are concerned with is turning wine into an investment asset. Is that right?
Exactly.
Is it hard to do?
Not hard to do. It just takes the same sort of dedication to information and understanding the market with as you have with anything.
So let's start with Bordeaux, because it's well known. It's in France. People love Bordeaux wines. I come to you with money and you guide me through. Do you buy old bottles of Bordeaux? Do you buy recent primeur wines from the chateau? What's the best way to start?
Access to the finest wines in the world is key. So this isn't any old wine. We're talking about a small segment of the leading wines in the world. They have very limited supply, so they produce anywhere from 600 cases up a year, and that's very, very little for the total global market. And what it means is that when it's released, the world, everybody wants it. So if you can work with a company that has access to these wines, you buy it on release, you can then lay it down for 5 years. When it comes to Bordeaux and en primeur, you buy access to the wine while it's in barrel.
And with IGwines, you have that access.
We have access to all of the leading wines. You can buy those on release with us, and then we can store them for you.
And what's the time period that I would need to hold a fine wine to see a return on my investment? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years?
We advise people when they come to us to look for a 5-year investment horizon. There are many cases where new releases pop in price immediately. That's because there's a limited amount released and immediately there's secondary market trading. In the case of Bordeaux, the minimum time you want to be holding en primeur Bordeaux is 2 years, and you can see excellent returns in that time period. And then if you hold it for 5, you see a much better extension of your return.
Talk about some of the wines that have done well. We know Burgundy's had a great run in recent years. Is that a fact?
Exactly. So since 2003, Burgundy's returned 450%, which is an enormous return. So we're talking CAGR, compound annual growth rate, of about 12%. Bordeaux is near 10% in terms of compound annual growth rate. So 10% return on your money every year is very, very enjoyable, I think.
Especially when you can drink the dividends at the end of that period. Tell me about the risk. There's always risk with investing. Can the wine spoil? Is that a risk in holding wines?
We do everything we can to minimize any risk in terms of the wine itself. So once it's bought, we store it in a warehouse that's temperature controlled and insured to market value. So your asset is under your title, and that's key. So if anything happens, you own your wine and you can buy and sell it anywhere you want. IGwines is a cash buyer and broker dealer, so we make a market for people with wine. We buy, sell, and anytime you have a wine, we'll buy it from you cash, or we'll take it to market and broker it. So the exit and liquidity is very good as well.
So that the issue here is getting comfortable with a system of investment that could be new to some of our investors. Do they come in and meet with you personally, and you might guide them through personally, or is it by phone? What's the best way to deal with IGwines?
Whichever medium they see best. So we like to meet with clients, but we can communicate them immediately on email or over the phone. And we have built software that allows them to view their portfolios in real time. So there's an iOS app, we have online software. So we've tried to mimic the tools you would normally have with an investment portfolio.
So what I might find at an online bank or an online brokerage firm, I would find with wine at IGwines. Is that right?
Exactly. So we're trying to treat the market in the exact same way.
And it's come up because our viewers, some of them love wine and love studying wine. It's one of those subjects that becomes passionate in a lifetime. Do you prefer Burgundy? Do you prefer Bordeaux for drinking, for investing? Where would you start?
We've seen excellent returns in Bordeaux over the last 5 years. So we're seeing a very good point in the cycle for Bordeaux. But at the moment, we think that Burgundy and Champagne will have a continuation of the growth it's seen. And obviously, like you, seem to think that diversification is the best way to go. Bordeaux has always been the conventional area to invest in with Bordeaux. It has the liquidity, and we've seen wine funds come and go on the market, and currently they own about £600 million worth of wine in wine funds. But Burgundy should take a part of your portfolio. Champagne and the 2008 campaign is phenomenal. Cristal released at £700 a six pack and jumped to £1,000 immediately. And we're seeing that over and over again with these highly high in demand, highly allocated, very, very short supply wines, which are hard to get.
So just to repeat, our guest is Mr. Paul Hammond. The company is IGwines. It's located in London. You can find them online. And we don't want all your money in fine wines, as tempting as it might be, but a portion of a portfolio might well suit many of our investors. That's all the time we have this week on The Investment Advisor. Thank you, Paul, for joining us.
Thank you, Matthew.
I'm Matthew Stevenson in partnership with Dukascopy TV. Remember, money can take care of you. It cannot take care of itself.